What is up, Primes? Nathonis here, back with another video for you, explaining and answering a question that nobody asked. That's what I do best. We're going to be talking about what happened to Sideswipe. No, not Movieverse Sideswipe. We already know what happened to him. May he rest in peace. No, we're talking about aligned continuity Sideswipe. Now, for those of you who don't know, I don't like explaining this over and over again. Aligned continuity is War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Transformers Prime, and Robots in Disguise. If you want, you can throw in Rescue Bots, but why? Anyway, Sideswipe appears in War for and Fall of Cybertron, as well as Rescue Bots and Robots in Disguise. And a lot of people ask the question, is it the same character? This is complicated. See, for Grimlock, it's not the same character between Fall of Cybertron and Robots in Disguise. The Grimlock in Fall of Cybertron is presumed dead, but that's not canon. He's actually alive. But that Grimlock speaks like a Cro-Magnon. He likes destroying things. He's got a sword and some kind of galaxial launcher. And in Robots in Disguise, he's completely different. Like, he's a lot more dumbed down and kid-friendly, kind-hearted. It just happens to be another character named Grimlock who turns into a T-Rex. Don't ask me how that works, it just does. This Grimlock is a result of the end of Transformers Prime. I'm not going to spoil that because I literally just rewatched Prime, and I recommend you do the same. Playlist is on my channel. Anyway, so yeah, two completely different Grimlocks. But is Sideswipe the same from War for Cybertron to Robots in Disguise? Yes and no. I know, I give unclear answers all the time, but let me explain. So, we're gonna go back to about as close to pre-War Cybertron as we're gonna get with Sideswipe. Yes, I'm talking about before he was an Autobot. Sideswipe was a racer. You know, he worked for a particular company, and whenever he wins a race, he gets paid. That's all he cared about. That's all his life was. And he didn't care because that was his passion, was racing and looking stylish doing it too. Let me tell you, he's got the stylish part down. Never forget, red Lamborghinis are always going to look stylish. Maybe a bit gauche, but even a Cybertronian Lamborghini. Look it up, it looks fecking sick. Anyway, so yes, that's all he did. For a living, for a hobby, the racetrack was his home. Well, war broke out, or at least it intensified, and he just was fired, pretty much. He was let go, and without so much as a simple, goodbye, they just cast him off. Well, Sideswipe was quite angered when he realized that his former employers were Decepticon sympathizers, and all the money that they made, all of his money, was going to the Decepticon cause. And the Decepticon cause destroyed his racetrack. So when he came back, hoping to go for an illegal run, essentially, just a quick race around the track, he found that it had been destroyed. And if somebody had lied to him and said it was the Autobots that did it, he would have just as easily joined the Decepticons. However, he knew it was the Decepticons, so he joined the Autobots, hopefully to get some redemption, to say to the former employers, you've made a big mistake. If only he realized who the real employers were. Yeah, you can't exactly talk to run about and run amok. Yeah, those were his employers, the greedy bastards. But they took his money, and he wanted payback. So he joined the Autobot cause. Eventually he hunted them down, and got some money back. But, over time he began to realize that he actually agrees with the Autobot cause. He sees Optimus as the proper mentor. So, instead of being all, I want to fight to get my racetrack back, he was, I believe in this cause now. This is what I'm fighting for. Until Fall of Cybertron. Now, yes, in Fall of Cybertron, he actually survives. He makes it onto the Ark, along with many other Autobots. However, unlike popular belief, when the Ark and the Nemesis go through the wormhole, they don't go straight to Earth. They actually go to the end of the Cybertronian solar system, which has a space bridge. And this space bridge takes the Nemesis through. But the Ark gets lost. Oh no, not good. So all the Autobots we see in Transformers Prime, except for RC and Cliffjumper, are actually on the Nemesis. RC and Cliffjumper are still on the Ark, which gets sent back to Cybertron. Now, when the Ark went through the wormhole, everything got sent like flying. So some Cybertronians were actually sent off of the ship, and some of them landed on other planets in the solar system, like Sideswipe, who landed on Velocitron. The Ark was then pulled around Velocitron and sent back in the direction of Cybertron, only to crash. And that's where it went. That's why RC and Cliffjumper are still on Cybertron during the events of, essentially when Optimus is on Earth. That's why Optimus and the other Autobots are there before RC and Cliffjumper. Meanwhile, some Autobots are stranded on Velocitron, like Sideswipe, where he meets Blur. That's how he knows him in Rescue Bots, and I don't think they meet in Rescue Bots, just robots in disguise, but that's how they know each other. Anyway, Velocitron, that's where Sideswipe spends the rest of his days. This is kind of like the end for his character, because, he got his revenge, and now he's got the home that he's always wanted. The home of the racing species, Velocitron, where speed is key. If only Jacksepticeye lived there. Now, Sideswipe lives on Velocitron for a few years. Cybertronian years, which is a long time. And then, because he doesn't get paid, because it's literally just a hobby racing place, you don't get paid for racing, he turned to a life of crime. Yeah, a former Autobot warrior who was kind of a Han Solo-esque figure, kind of deteriorates in personality and becomes more petty and more of a criminal. On top of that, he gets into an accident where a lot of his memories get jumbled. So, not only has he turned to a life of crime, a lot of his memories are a bit screwed up now too. Not good. Well, despite all of that, despite his life of crime and the not loss, but the screw up of his memories, he's just strolling through Velocitron. Now, Velocitron is covered in television screens because they broadcast, racing from all over the planet. And here's Blur and Hot Rod on their 5th race around one of the second longest tracks, that kind of stuff. But this time, it was new. It was different. So as Sideswipe's walking down the street, he hears Cybertron. Looks up at the screen, and it's essentially a news broadcast saying, Cybertron has been restored. Now, here is a question that some people may ask. When Sideswipe landed on Velocitron, why didn't he just go back to Cybertron? On Velocitron, they had a very strict guideline. Nobody goes to Cybertron, and nobody from Cybertron comes to Velocitron. Nobody knew where Sideswipe was from, so he essentially made up a planet and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm from this planet," and they let him go. But there was to be no transfer between Velocitron and Cybertron because they didn't want the war there. Fair enough, I understand that. But Cybertron has been restored, and because of that, they open space bridges to Cybertron. And it comes at a bit of a cost. So to use the space bridge to get to Cybertron, it's pretty expensive. So Sideswipe had to legitimately make money. I mean, let's be honest. Who would expect more from Sideswipe? He eventually gets to the space bridge, goes to Cybertron, and sees it completely restored. So, that's his home. Completely restored. And because of his deteriorated personality and the accident with his jumbled up memories, he's a bit of a child now, just kind of delinquent type. And, you know, that's why in Robots in Disguise, that's the way we see him. And he's wanted, pretty much. He's like that punk kid who doesn't follow any of the rules. So when Bumblebee recognizes him, he knows him from, like, the War for Cybertron, but he also knows him as the punk, who also has some messed up memories. So, that's how life went for him. He doesn't remember Optimus too well. He knows of Optimus, and he interacted with him during the war, but he doesn't remember interacting with him, so that's why in Robots in Disguise he's very disrespectful. "Oh, you bugging Pops for war stories is getting older than, well, Pops." The other Sideswipe would never have said that, lest he gets smacked to pieces. But yeah, that's what happened. That's why he doesn't show much respect for Optimus or anybody, really. So, that's pretty much the explanation, you know? I know, bit of a crappy video, but, you know. As I said, I answer questions nobody asked, and I'm very bored, as I said. So yeah, that's what happened to Sideswipe between War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, and Robots in Disguise. If there are any characters between the Cybertron games and Prime or Robots in Disguise that you can have a completely different personality or something, and you're just like, is this the same character? Feel free to ask, because I would most definitely know. Characters like Ratchet, Soundwave, they're the same. Optimus and Megatron, that's a no-brainer. So yeah, those characters from the games that appear in Robots in Disguise, are they the same? Who knows? Feel free to ask if you want, but hope you guys enjoyed, and see you all in the next video.